What's an unwritten rule about the road that new drivers should know? Try to give other drivers as much information as possible. Always use your turn signals, even in a turn lane. People have no way of knowing if you're actually about to turn or not. Yes, it helps to reinforce the facts. Not everyone is paying full attention. Simply seeing your blinker automatically informs them that you are in the turning lane and will be crossing their lane when able. It helps establish what's actually going on or about to happen. Don't cut corners. I've nearly had head-on collisions because people can't just slow down a little and turn into the lane properly. This, and if you're on the outside of a double turn lane, turn wide so the inner turn lane doesn't have to crash into the median or you to make their turn. When I first passed my test, my dad said to me, "Assume that everyone is a terrible driver who is trying to kill you." Quote. Keep your cool. Road rage kills. I was a passenger during a road rage incident and the other car was shooting at the car I was in. Luckily, neither of us were hit. I'm still afraid of being in a car, sometimes. Almost 20 years ago some dildo pulled a rifle on me over some road rage. The guy had done similar stuff in the past and ended up getting 7 years in prison. He got out after a few years and there was a solid 6-month period when I was paranoid AF just waiting on the dude to show up at my house or something. So yeah, I also know what it's like to get PTSD from road rage lol. Speed up to match the speed before you try and merge onto a highway. Let me add one more thing. If you are in the last lane and you know the merge is coming up, don't get pissed off when cars are trying to merge and drive faster to not let them in. If someone flashes their lights at you, they're not just a dick, they're trying to communicate something. I drove past someone who flashed their lights at me, slowed down a little because I was confused, and just around the turn was a fucking fallen boulder in the road. I probably wouldn't have stopped in time if I hadn't already been slowing down thanks to the guy who flashed his lights at me. I know a lot of people do this to warn of police radar too. Flashing lights equals hazard ahead, slow down. Flashing lights at night, turn on your lights dummy. Put your blinker on before you start to brake. Nothing drives me nuts like people who come to a full stop on a one-lane road, and then put the blinker on while we wait for passing traffic. My mom has built up a really bad habit of only putting her blinker on when she starts to turn. As a result, she's developed this fear of trying to make lane changes under pressure. She always cites, people won't let her in, or that people blow past her in the lane she's trying to get into. That's because no one knows she is trying to make a turn. When I've ridden with her, I've explained multiple times, turn your blinker on first, then start looking to make the turn. Always leave yourself a way out. My mom taught me this as we lived near a rough neighborhood. Keep enough space between you and the car in front for you to get the fuck out of there. Exactly. It's rule number 1 of defensive driving and super bonus. You won't ever be at fault or be picking up all of your teeth from smashing into someone's boot if you were rear-ended. Merging onto a highway, interstate should be a very active process. Try to match the speed of traffic and fit into an open slot. Don't slow down to a crawl and wait for a wide berth. I see way too many people do this shit slowing down. Actually, the only thing that tilts me on the road. I'm with you here, but also add not signaling to turn or switch lanes. I live in STL, 90% of drivers here will never touch their turn signals. Green means legal, not safe. Assume everyone is a moron trying to crash into you. This right here. People routinely blast through the light where I take a left out of my neighborhood. Like turning red, then a pause, then my green, and I'm not even on the gas right away. That light has been red for quite some time. I literally watched someone get T-boned while going through a green light yesterday. It was kind of a small town intersection with a speed limit of like 35. This lady blasts through the red light doing at least 60 with not even a hint of slowing down. Luckily, the dude in front of me was already mostly clear, so she just clipped the back of his pickup truck. Both his airbags went off, but nobody got hurt. Lady gets out of her car and says, "Yeah, I've got a camera too. I ran the light." These things happen. I could not believe her audacity to admit what she did while simultaneously refusing to take responsibility. Always know what's around you. Know what cars are behind you or in the lane next to you. That way, if you feel you have to change lanes quickly, you know whether you can or can't. An old boss of mine used to put it this way: on the road, there's 5 people you need to be aware of at all times. The guy in front of you, the guy behind you, the guy directly to your right, the guy directly to your left, and the guy that comes out of fucking nowhere. Plus the car in front of the car in front of you. Don't be nice, be predictable. What this means is, Don't slam on your brakes to let someone else go, drive predictably. My mom got into a terrible accident because someone was trying to be nice and waving her on to turn when they should have gone, and someone behind them went around and crashed into my mom, who finally just decided to turn because the guy was being too nice. I almost did myself. Someone was frantically waving at me to cross 2 lanes to get into my apartment complex. I'm shaking my head, no, he's waving, and getting annoyed. Then a car zooms past him at 50 miles per hour in the other lane. I'd listened to Mr. Wavy, we'd both have had a bad day. My apartment complex entrance is in front of a very busy intersection. You just get used to being patient in the turning lane and waiting for the roadway to be clear. People trying to wave you on or just impeding traffic. Assume everyone else is an idiot. Like Homer Simpson says, everyone is an idiot except for me. Edit. As someone pointed out, it was SpongeBob mocking Squidward. Homer says, stupid, not idiot. Honk, honk, punch. Gas, gas, gas. This. Don't barrel into an intersection just because you have the green. Expect that some moron might run the red light. Don't trust a turn signal. But also don't trust the absence of a turn signal. In general, just assume the worst from everyone. Yes, see a right turn signal? Don't just pull out in front of them thinking, oh, they are turning right, even though they are still going 45 miles per hour. Look for other signs, like slowing down in their car, pulling a bit to the right. Don't just trust it. Edit. Words edit again. The correct call would be waiting for them to complete the turn, as others have pointed out. I always wait, but I've been honked at multiple times for this. I would go even further and say wait for them to turn far enough that they can't bail out of it. I work at a place with a secondary parking lot with an entrance near, but not right next to, the main lot. I have lost count of how many times people not only signal too early but actually begin turning before quickly jerking the car back to straight. All while my car with incredibly bright turn signals is just sitting there, flashing away. For the love of God, turn off your brights when you're behind someone else. IDK if it's just me, but a lot of modern cars have headlights of Satan's anus. It is physically painful in my eyes to drive at night for me now. Folks already mentioned the height of SUVs and LEDs, but there's also another issue. Lots of folks are replacing their vehicles' old incandescent lamps with LEDs. The trouble is the reflectors behind the lamp and the lens in front are meant for a completely different light. Additionally, and more importantly, most people don't realize that when you replace a headlight lamp you have to readjust the angle of the reflector and/or the height of the lamp. So you end up with the wrong lamp with the wrong lens shining in the wrong direction. And you probably wouldn't even realize. You just know that even the low beams give great visibility with your fancy new headlights, never aware both of them are focused directly at the rear view mirror of the car in front. If it's your turn to go at a 4-way stop, then go. None of this, wave the other guy through, crap. You're messing up the sequence. I also hate when someone doesn't have a stop sign but I do and they think they're being nice by waving me through. Like, no sir, you don't have a stop sign and I ain't risking an accident cause you wanna be nice. I see someone slow down, I don't know why they're slowing down, then they stop and wave at you to go. Had they just kept driving they would be past me and I could have turned. Be predictable. Assume everyone else is unpredictable. Drive defensively. Going into a ditch, at an angle so you don't plow head-on into dirt or rocks, or going off the road is generally preferable to a head-on collision at high speed. At all costs avoid a head-on with a large vehicle like a dump truck or transport truck. It's almost certainly going to be fatal for you. Anti-lock brakes, large modern vehicles and snow tires and 4-wheel drive are safety features to help you. It does not mean you can drive in all weather conditions without driving for the conditions. I have known people who had very expensive SUVs who are also very dead because they drove fast in bad weather. Above all else, don't drive under the influence. You may not just kill yourself, you may end up killing others. Wear a seatbelt. Treat driving as a privilege, not a right. The graveyard is full of people who had right of way. When I had my driving lessons, my instructor drilled it into my head that, when you have the right of way, you don't check to see if someone's coming, you just go. Because you have the right of way, and you should just assume everyone else will respect that. He would actually get frustrated if I checked for oncoming traffic. Guy was an absolute idiot in many ways. The car with the most duct tape has the right of way. And UHaul Trucks. Chances are the guy driving a UHaul truck is driving a vehicle much bigger than he is used to, hasn't had enough sleep, and is having a long day. My friend and I were having a conversation and UHaul Trucks got brought up. Like, how are those just available to anyone to rent? They're actually so much bigger than you might think. Leave the house 10 or 15 minutes early. And if you can't, remember it's better to be late than dead. If your wipers are on, your headlights better be on too. A light tap on the horn is a heads up, and not an FU, so don't take it personally. I did some anecdotal testing of a theory. If you do a single short honk or a long honk at pedestrians, they look for what they did wrong. If you do 2 quick honks, they start waving in your direction, assuming someone they know is saying hi. I hate the horn on my car. It goes from barely audible, 1/10 of a second beep to full on 5 seconds of air horn. There is very little margin for error when trying to do the heads-ups beep. Don't hang out in my blind spot. Either speed up and pass me, or slow down a bit. My favorite are the people who come speeding up from behind and pass only to then slow down, so you need to pass them. My cruise control is set at 75 miles per hour the entire time lol. Cruise control is so frustrating on the highway. People seems to change how fast they want to drive from minute to minute. I know they're just looking at their phones and slowing down on accident, but I get stuck behind people who bounce between 65 to 75 the whole drive. If it's raining, put your goddamn lights on. No matter the time of day. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this a written rule? At my old job I drove a box truck or a large cargo van. The thing about these vehicles is that they're huge and they take a long time to brake. You have to start braking in advance. Additionally, I have no view out the back. What this means is that if you ride my ass and I start slowing down and you crash directly into the back of my truck, your BMW will probably be totaled and you could be injured, but my truck will be mostly fine. As far as insurance goes, good luck, because it's registered to my company, who will fight tooth and nail to suck you dry of your money. I won't suffer any consequences, and I didn't even see you in the first place. So don't get super close behind trucks. I was taught if I can't see both your side view mirrors, I'm too close if you have to stop.